Story 1. I'm Jake. I'm 33, and I live in this small town called Brookville in Ohio. It's one of those places where everyone knows each other, or at least pretends to. I've been here my whole life, and yeah, nothing much happens. I work nights at a gas station just off Route 49. Graveyard shift. Alone most of the time. Pretty quiet out here. Not a lot of excitement. But a few months ago, something happened with my neighbor. Something I still don't really understand. And honestly, I don't even know where to begin. I guess it started when... Well, no, before that. Maybe the first weird thing was the coffee. Yeah, that's probably where it started. So this guy, Carl, lives next door, maybe early 60s. Retired, I think. One night, I was just getting home from work. It must have been around 4:30 a.m., and I saw him out on his porch, just standing there. He waved and called out, "Hey, Jake, long night?" And before I could even answer, he walked over and handed me a steaming cup of coffee in this plain white mug. Said he'd made extra. I don't know. It felt weird. Like, who does that? But I took it, said thanks, and went inside. I didn't drink it. Something about it just bugged me. After that, he started waving at me every night. Same time, same spot. Sometimes he'd just be standing there when I pulled in. No coffee again, but always watching. Always smiling. I don't know. It just got under my skin. A week later, I noticed my back door was unlocked. Now I lock everything. I'm paranoid like that, especially working nights. But it was wide open. Nothing missing. No sign of a break-in. I figured I'd just messed up. Told myself it was nothing. Then little stuff started happening. Things moving. I'd leave my boots by the door and find them in the hallway. My TV remote was in the fridge once. I know how that sounds. I thought I was losing it. Like, full-on losing my mind. One night, I was heading out to work, and I saw Carl again. This time, he was on my porch, just standing there, real casual, like he belonged there. I asked him what he was doing, and he just smiled and said, "Heard something over here. Thought I'd check on you." I didn't say anything, just got in my car and left. When I got home that morning, my bedroom window was open. I hadn't touched it in weeks. And my cat, Milo, he was gone. I called for him all day, checked everywhere. Then I found his collar in the sink, just sitting there, like someone placed it. No sign of Milo. He never came back. I didn't call the cops. I should have. I know. But what do you even say? Hey, I think my neighbor's sneaking into my house and stealing my cat. I wasn't ready for them to laugh me off. That night, I stayed home, locked every door, every window, sat up with a baseball bat, watching. Around 2 a.m., I saw movement outside. Carl, just pacing in front of my house, real slow. He didn't knock, didn't say a word, just walked back and forth for almost an hour. Then he left. I didn't sleep. Next morning, there was a note taped to my door. No envelope, just a piece of lined paper. It said, "You should have drank the coffee." That's it. I lost it. I tore it up, threw it in the trash, and started packing. I was done. But then I heard something upstairs. I live alone. I crept up, bat in hand, heart pounding. Nothing. Every room was empty, except my bed. There was dirt, just like clumps of dirt on the sheets, and a handprint on my pillow. A dirty, smudged handprint. I didn't sleep at home that night. I crashed in my car at work. I told my boss I was dealing with some stuff, and he didn't ask questions. I went back the next afternoon. Everything looked normal until I walked into the kitchen. On the table, there was that same white coffee mug Carl gave me, but I'd thrown it away. I know I did. And inside was a photo of me sleeping in my bed. I moved out that day. Haven't been back since. Last I heard, Carl still lives there. No one believes me, obviously. They say I had a breakdown, or I was overtired, hallucinating, whatever. Maybe they're right. Maybe I imagined it all, but I know what I saw. I know what he did. And I know I'll never drink coffee from a neighbor again. Story 2. My name's Daniel. I'm 32, and I live in a rural part of Pennsylvania, Greendale, to be exact. It's a small town, barely on the map. Not much happens here. I've lived on the edge of town for about 5 years now, in this old farmhouse that backs up to a patch of woods. No family, just me and my dog, Rosie. Things were quiet, peaceful, until they weren't. I don't really know when it started. I mean, maybe I'm piecing it together all wrong. But I think the first weird thing was my neighbor, Carl, standing outside my window, just watching. That was about 3 months ago, middle of the day. I was doing dishes, glanced up, and he was there by the fence, hands in his pockets, just staring. No wave, no smile. He didn't even seem surprised when I noticed him. He just turned and walked back toward his house. I didn't think much of it at the time. He's an older guy, late 60s maybe, keeps to himself. Weird, sure, but harmless, or so I thought. Then, one morning, I went to take the trash out and found the cans tipped over, stuff all over the yard. Could have been raccoons, I figured. But then I saw Carl standing at the edge of my yard again. This time, he said something. "You really should be more careful with what you throw away," he said. Just that. Then he walked off. It unsettled me, but again, I brushed it off. Maybe he was trying to be helpful in his own creepy way. But it didn't stop. Things in the house started to feel off. I'd lose stuff, my keys, my wallet, and find them in places I never would have put them. Once I found my phone in Rosie's kennel. Another time, I swear I left my front door locked and came home to find it wide open. Nothing was stolen, nothing out of place, except my sense of safety. And Rosie, she started acting strange. Barking at nothing, refusing to go near the basement door. One night, she went missing entirely. I searched the woods for hours, called for her till my voice gave out. She came back the next morning, limping, her fur matted with mud and something dark I didn't want to identify. Her collar was gone. I asked Carl if he'd seen her. He smiled real slow and said, "She's lucky to be alive." That's it. I didn't even know how to respond. After that, I started sleeping with a light on. I bought a cheap camera for outside, but I never got around to setting it up. Don't ask me why. I was in denial, I guess. I didn't want to admit I was scared. Then one night, I woke up to a noise. Not loud, just movement, like a door creaking open. I got up, heart pounding, and crept down the hall with a flashlight. Nothing looked out of place until I got to the basement door. It was open, just a crack, but it was open. I never leave it open. I shut it, locked it, and barely slept. Next day, I found Rosie's collar, the missing one. It was sitting in the sink, wet. I don't know how it got there. I don't want to know. I started to think I was losing my mind. Maybe I was forgetting things, moving stuff around in my sleep. Maybe the stress was making me imagine Carl being more than just weird. But then I found the note, taped to my front door, plain white paper, just 4 words. "You should leave, Daniel." No signature, just that. I packed a bag that night, went to stay with my brother 2 towns over. Haven't been back since. Carl still lives there. I don't know what he wanted, or what he did, or how much of this was in my head. But I know this: something was wrong. Very wrong. And I got out just in time. Some people say I overreacted, that Carl's just a lonely old man. But they didn't see the look in his eyes. They didn't hear him whisper, "She's lucky," when my dog came home torn up and terrified. I'll never set foot in that house again. I don't care if it sits empty forever. Let Carl have it. Let him haunt it, or whatever he was doing. I'm done. Story 3. My name's Mark. I'm 31, and I live in a college town in Oregon, Springfield, just outside Eugene. I've lived in a small apartment near campus for about 2 years, sharing the building with just one guy below me. Quiet neighborhood, mostly students. I've never had any trouble, until recently. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but it seemed harmless at first. My neighbor Grant, who lives in the unit below, started knocking on my door randomly. At first, it was polite stuff, asking if the heater worked, borrowing cooking oil, small talk. I told myself he's just friendly. But then the knockings came at odd times. 2 a.m., 5 a.m. Only one knock, no follow-up. I thought maybe he was drunk or sleepwalking. Then subtle things started. I set my shoes neatly by the door each morning. Occasionally, I'd come home and they'd be in the hallway, slightly askew. My coffee mug, plain white with a chip, showed up in the bathroom sink. I never took it there. I didn't think much of it, just blamed myself. One day, I got home to find my apartment unlocked. I'm careful. I double lock the door every time. Nothing was gone. Just the lock unlatched. I shrugged it off. Told myself I must have done it. But I knew I hadn't. My cat, Crawley, went missing. Not in the whole building, by guess, but from my place. I came home around noon after classes. Door locked. Signs normal. No Crawley. I searched. Even called downstairs. Nothing. For hours. I found a smear of red on the windowsill. Tiny drop. Crusted. I washed it off. Could have been rust? Didn't think I could face the idea it was blood. That night, I stayed up. Tried to piece things together. I remembered reading viral neighborhood horror stories. Structure goes: weird contact, missing pet, sign or note, confrontation, no resolution. I thought, that's my life now. Next day, I confronted Grant. I asked if he'd seen Crawley. He just nodded slowly and said, "Oh, your cat? She scratched at me the other night. I scared her off." That was it. No apology, no sympathy. Just stood there like it was normal. I felt nauseous. I went to the pet shelter, filed a missing report. They said sometimes cats show up after a day or two. I kept waiting. Crawley never came. A week later, I came home from class, and a small envelope was taped under my door. Just one sentence, typed. Should have locked it. No signature. I got shaky, crumpled it up, and threw it away. Didn't sleep. The next detail, scratches on my bathroom door frame. Vertical, thin, about 6 inches tall. I don't have long nails. Neither does Crawley. They were fresh. I stared at them, wondered if someone used nails or something else. I pressed my ear to the door. Heard nothing. Could have been imagination. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. But those marks were too deliberate. I didn't call the cops yet. I was embarrassed. I felt like an idiot, overreacting to small stuff. But that night, I checked locks again and again. I paced between classes in the morning. I searched online. Viral horror neighbor true stories with notes, missing pets, odd contact signs, and realized the pattern. Then came the real escalation. I came home early one evening, around 5 p.m. I peeked through the peephole before unlocking. Someone was crouched behind my door. I didn't open it. I watched until they stood, jerked upright, and walked off down the hall. It was Grant, his silhouette under hallway light. He didn't knock, just left. Inside, my place looked normal until I got to my bedroom. The lights were off. I flicked the switch. Nothing. I followed the electrical cord that hangs across the room. It was cut. My bedside lamp unplugged. I swear someone hovered near it before I got home. I flipped out, ran downstairs to the hallway to peer into his unit. Nothing. No movement. No lights. I slammed back upstairs and locked the deadbolt. Next morning, I returned to police, told them all of it. I even went to the management office. They said they'd check building cameras. There are none. They said they'd speak with Grant. I felt so exposed doing that. That evening, I got another slip. A paper slid under my door. It read, "You should have woken up." Blood smear on its edge. I dropped it, couldn't clean it, threw it out trembling. I moved out the next day, packed what I could carry, left the rest behind. Crowley's still missing. No one knows where she is. Grant still lives in that building. No charge, no confrontation, no answers. I'm staying at a friend's place now, farther from campus. I look over my shoulder every time. I keep thinking, maybe I overreacted, that maybe Crowley ran off. Maybe the scratches were something else. Maybe I'm remembering wrong. But the note, the envelope, the blood smear, they don't lie. I lost my home, my cat, and I barely escaped something worse. And I know I'll never feel safe near neighbors again, no matter how friendly they seem.